Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Charles Sabansu, and welcome you guys to another episode of the DREAMERSPRO show, where we cover everything from sports, hot topics, classic debates, and entertainment. We give you guys a fresh perspective on things and how we see them. And today we got a hell of a show for you guys. Before we get into it, please make sure you like the video and subscribe to the channel. Also, be sure to hit all notifications to be notified the second our content drops, and check out our DREAMERSPRO podcast if you want today's full show before it hits YouTube. Let me just get into this topic immediately. As you guys know, Charles Barkley is probably the most outspoken personality in sports media. Sometimes he gets it right, sometimes he gets it wrong. But nevertheless, a lot of people tend to gravitate towards his views because I think many people believe that, number one, he is 100% authentic. Whether you agree with him or not, that's a different case. And Charles Barkley has been one of those people that has been very vocal. He's not the only one, because I've heard Michael Wilbon from ESPN say the same thing. But he's been one of the people that's been very vocal on the coverage that teams like the Lakers and the Warriors have been receiving over the years. Now, what am I referring to? Charles Barkley recently was on NBA on TNT, and they were talking about potential matchups in the Western Conference. And they were then talking about, because I think the Lakers had gotten a win and the Golden State Warriors had gotten a good win. And he just basically went off and started reacting to some of the things that people were saying in the media in terms of how they like to always prop up the Lakers and say, you know, the Lakers could do well, the Lakers could do well. And I want to quickly read what Charles had to say, and I'm getting this article from the sportsrush.com. He said, you know, our sister network, the idiots on the other network, keep talking about the Lakers and the Warriors like they got a chance. And he essentially went off to basically say that, listen, these teams don't have a chance. They're not any good. Since when did we spend this much time talking about a 10th and 9th and 10th seed in their conference? They're not any good. If the play-in tournament didn't exist, these teams wouldn't even be playoff teams. And we shouldn't be spending time talking about them, number one. And number two, viewers shouldn't put much stock in people that promote these teams and say they can do good, they can do good, they can do good, when their record shows that they obviously don't. So what happened? Kendrick Perkins was recently invited to the Pat McAfee show. And he was invited on there, and he was asked to react to some of the comments that Charles Barkley made on NBA on TNT as it pertains to the coverage of the Lakers and the way people are out there promoting the Lakers and these teams as if they are a real threat. So when it came time for Kendrick Perkins to react to Charles Barkley, he went at him pretty strong. Like, Kendrick Perkins didn't pull any punches, and he basically told Charles Barkley that, listen, you don't know what the hell you're actually talking about. So for those of you who didn't hear what Kendrick Perkins had to say, we want to play exactly what he had to say for you now on the Pat McAfee show, and then we're going to come back and get into this thing. So take a listen to what Kendrick Perkins had to say here.
I saw Charles Barkley say something hilarious. He said, the idiots at the other network, okay, I think he's talking about ESPN, keep talking like the Lakers and the Golden State Warriors have a chance. Shaq checked him immediately, was like, they have the play-in. And then Chuck, the play-in's not real, is what Charles Barkley said immediately. Now, Charles Barkley's one of the greatest speakers of all time. Anytime he talks, I will listen. The Miami Heat were in a play-in game, and then they make it to the final. So there is a chance to go from potentially on the bubble all the way in there. But what are your thoughts on all that? Are the Lakers and Golden State dead? Is this something that you and ESPN are just pushing because LeBron James does numbers on the SportsCenter Instagram account, Perk?
Well, let me say this.
Okay.
First thing first, okay? Charles Barkley is not the sharpest knife in the drawer. Okay, that's number one.
With his head.
Everything that comes out of his mouth is not the gospel. Now, he's an all-time great. He has done a hell of a job in the media world, and I respect him like crazy. But here's the thing. We're going to talk about the Los Angeles Lakers, and we're going to talk about the Golden State Warriors. You know why? Because they have LeBron James, who is arguably the greatest to ever touch the damn basketball. And you have Steph Curry, who is a generational talent and a top 10 all-timer. Okay? And we have to appreciate them. Because when both of those guys are gone, what else are we going to talk about? We can't talk about them. So the fact of the matter is that they're both, 4 or 5 games above 500, so they're a really good basketball team. They just happen to be in the Western Conference. And the playoffs started right after the All-Star break in the Western Conference. So we're talking about these play-in games because it matters. Can you imagine this? Imagine a world this postseason without having Steph Curry or LeBron James in it. Like, we can't do that.
Can't.
Like, so we need one of them to make it. The world needs it.
Need it, Chuck.
I get what Charles is saying. Do I think they're going to make noise, either one of those teams in the postseason? Hell no. But at the end of the day, we have to appreciate who the hell is on that team.
I agree.
That's Steph and that's Braun.
I agree completely. I understand exactly what you're saying. I also understand what he was saying in this entire thing because, like, whenever you're doing full day show all day, every day, like, LeBron's going to get talked about.
Yeah,
you know, and that's like just how it's always been. And Steph earned his way quickly into being a guy that's always going to be talked about.
So you heard what Kendrick Perkins had to say in response to Charles Barkley. What are my thoughts on this interaction? I understand what Charles is saying more than I do what Kendrick Perkins is saying. Kendrick Perkins is essentially saying, listen, they're the Lakers. They're the Golden State Warriors. They have marquee names like LeBron James and Stephen Curry. These are Pantheon greats. So obviously networks like ourselves are going to spend time talking about them, and they do. From the standpoint of Charles Barkley, I get what he's saying. And it's one of the reasons why we don't really produce a lot of Lakers content. We do react to LeBron with some of the stuff and things people are saying. So we talk about LeBron, but the Lakers is the team we don't talk about them as much, at least not in the way that big media does. Big media, for whatever reason, has made it their business to basically spend every waking day to talk about, okay, how can the Lakers, maneuver to get the right pieces to be able to go out there and win a championship? How can we get LeBron his 5th championship? And it seems to be the case every day. That's number one. Number two, the coverage of the Lakers from a day-to-day basis to me is nauseating. What do I mean? One day when the Lakers play great, they're the best thing since sliced bread that can beat any team in the Western Conference. The next day when they don't play great, it's all about, okay, what's the problem with this team? What's this and this? What's wrong with it? What's up with the coaching? Or the low-hanging fruit, Anthony Davis. Anthony Davis needs to step up. Anthony Davis needs to do this. Anthony Davis is not doing that. Rui Hachimura needs to do this. D'Angelo Russell has to do it. And after a while, it kind of gets tiring of listening to, because it's either you're really, really hot on the Lakers or you're really, really cold on them. And it seems to happen on a day-to-day basis. No one, it seems, in the media has been able to come to the conclusion of whether or not the Lakers are a good team or a bad team. I'll give you guys another example. The Lakers can go out there and beat the Clippers or beat, I don't know, the Denver Nuggets, which they haven't beaten, or maybe the Minnesota Timberwolves. And all of a sudden you see people like Shannon Sharp go on ESPN and say, oh, they can beat anybody in the NBA. They can beat this and they can beat anybody in the Western Conference. And I'm not afraid of them. Then the very next game they can go out there and lose to the Kings, Sacramento Kings. And all of a sudden, man, we don't stand a chance against them. They got our number and this and this. And I'm like, bro, which one is it? Which one is it? So I don't really cover the team because, I see various content creators that cover them. It's 3 things. Wow, the Lakers are going to be the best team in the NBA, or fire Darvin Ham, or Anthony Davis doesn't know what he needs, what he's doing. There's always 2 or 3, maybe 4 narratives with the team. In the case of Charles Barkley, he's like, why aren't we talking about any of the good teams? I just think it's par for the course. The Lakers have a very, very huge fan base. That's number one. The Golden State Warriors have a very, very huge fan base. That's number 2. You have players, marquee names like LeBron James and Stephen Curry, who are big draws. People want to hear about these guys. Now, some people were kind of speculating what the playoff ratings will look like the year the Lakers didn't make it into the playoffs, the year that the Golden State Warriors won the championship, and they were like, what's going to happen? The Lakers, LeBron are not there, and we actually saw that the Warriors and these guys were pulling in good ratings. There were people actually watching, decent amount of people were watching, at least more than people expected. But Kendrick Perkins is going to say what he's going to say. Charles Barkley put out his statement. He called out some networks, and Kendrick Perkins is, as he said, putting an address on it, and he's addressing it back. So that's what he has to say. So the question I have for the audience is the following. Whose side are you on with this conversation? Are you on Charles Barkley's side? Are you leaning towards his views, or are you on Kendrick Perkins' side? Whatever you guys think, please leave your thoughts and comments in the comment section. We catch you on the next show. Peace.